Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Teams inspire me. There's something about a group of ordinary people that just pulling together to accomplish something bigger than themselves, that just connects with a deep longing within inside of me. Just like most of you guys, I really want to make an impact with my life. But within this individual society that we live in, individualistic mindsets that we have, we're so caught up in leaving our own individual legacy. A lot of times we miss the fact that if we just join in with a group of others, we can really make something happen that's much larger than ourselves. We often watch movies like Rocky 1 through 6 or 7, and we're really impressed by this guy's discipline. But when we compare that to our own lives, we begin to see that, man, we're just wimps. And we just have, there's a disconnect in a lot of ways when we see these individuals who are seeking to achieve stuff basically just for their own good, for the most part. But we also see examples of ordinary people that are serving on teams that make a difference. Where do we see these examples? I think of some movies, other movies though, that do give examples of ordinary people that team together. Things like, a classic example, Mighty Ducks, or Little Giants, or Remember the Titans. We also see it in our families, and sometimes in businesses, bands, sports teams. And we see these groups come together to overcome some pretty significant obstacles as well. But in order to see the results of teamwork in our own lives, it's important that we come to a clear understanding of what exactly we're talking about when we refer to the team. And I've had an opportunity to look at this book called The Performance Factor, which talks about teamwork, by Pat McMillan. The way he describes teamwork is as a group of people committed to a common purpose who choose to cooperate in order to achieve exceptional results. This definition leaves us with a description of teams that are much larger, is much more than just a group. A team, first of all, is committed to a common purpose. This is where the team begins, really. The organizations don't form teams just because it sounds like a great idea. They are formed to accomplish a specific task or objective. Or as Pat McMillan describes, no task, no team. I believe this is why Toastmasters is so successful across the world, is because we have such a clear common purpose as we gather together to increase our competency in speaking and leadership. When also at this point of developing common purpose is where leadership begins. And as somebody that seeks to be a leader, they identify some need that needs to be solved, and they go out to call other people to join with them in this. In one great scene in the movie Gladiator, Russell Crowe's character, he establishes his leadership right before they go into the stadium to fight. And he hasn't really said hardly anything in the whole movie at this point. But right before they go out there to get, many of them potentially die, he states, whatever comes out of these gates, we have a better chance of survival if we work together. For me, this type of leadership is inspiring. And it inspires me to get out and to do something. What about you? Has a leader called you to join a team to accomplish a purpose or a mission? Or maybe you're a leader and you need to respond to a situation and enlist a team to join with you. When you have a common purpose established with your team and everyone agrees that this is a good goal, you still don't necessarily have a team, because each individual must choose to cooperate. Each member of the team might have different perspectives on how to achieve the given goal. And every team has selfish people that always put me before team. And I see this in an example in the movie Remember the Titans. And we see at the beginning of the movie, they come to a point where the whole team is just living for their own selfish desires. And they put their interests before the team. They called together the team in the gym one evening. And when they get the group together, they basically just have a time of confession. We're all selfish. We're not in this together. And they make a choice there that we're going to work together no matter what. We see at the rest of the movie just the demonstration of the power of teamwork. And they go on to win the rest of their season. I also had a similar experience to a much smaller scale and less dramatic when I was in high school on my basketball team. One summer we started off losing our first 5 games in a row badly. And eventually a few of us identified that our problem was our selfishness. So we gathered our team together without our coaches, and we discussed, okay, what can we do to really change and cooperate more clearly? And for me, this is a point in my life where I can look back to and see that, wow, it really is better to work as a team than to just live selfishly for my own goals. Each individual on a team has a unique role to play. So you might consider the teams that you're on and think about for yourself, what responsibilities, what roles do I have to fill on this team? And you might also consider, am I going to follow along with the group or just wander on my own path? Teams cooperate in order to achieve exceptional results. And throughout history, we see how effective teamwork really has proven to move teams from groups from ordinary to extraordinary. One example it gives in the book is a mule team that wins a championship pulling a certain amount of weight. They're able to pull 9,000 pounds as a team. They experimented later after the championship if we combine the first place with the second place team, and they found that those teams combined could pull a total of 30,000 pounds. From 9,000 to 30,000. And that's just the power of teamwork at work. We also celebrate stories of upsets and underdogs winning championships in sporting events, battles, where a team really spawns together and they beat a stronger opponent. A classic example, like I mentioned earlier, is the Mighty Ducks. And we see just a bunch of punk kids that are transformed. It is a Disney movie, but they are transformed into a championship team. They pull off of a great analogy from nature with the ducks, the way they fly in a pattern as a team. They say that when flying in formation like this allows them to fly 70% further than they otherwise would be able to do. My parents also demonstrated inspiring teamwork. Like you heard in the introduction, they raised 2 sets of twins, but meanwhile, while planting many churches all over the world. This really gives me a real example of what true leadership and teamwork looks like. That Mighty Ducks gladiator could never do for me. They also show me the personal sacrifice that is required in order to really make a team move from ordinary to extraordinary. You might think for yourself, what can you do to move your team from ordinary to extraordinary? And what sacrifices are you willing to take to allow your team to move beyond that? I'm convinced that I'm going to use my life to help teams of people committed to a common purpose and cooperating towards exceptional and extraordinary results. What about you? What purpose has you and your team been called to? What role can you play in that task? And are you willing to pay the price to move beyond the ordinary?